Roll for Crit is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Come roll with us at patreon.com/rollforcrit.
As Kickstarter connoisseurs, we're here to find the most complex, richest projects for your desires. Let's see what they have to offer us for the week of January 25th, 2021.
Carnegie is the first game we'll highlight today. Recently featured in our 2021 preview video. Now here it is on Kickstarter, modeled after the life of actual person, Andrew Carnegie. This game sees players trying to found their own company, their own business, and make it as successful as possible. The way that it works is you're going to be sending out employees and activating different departments to try to earn income and gain goods and invest your pieces where they need to go wisely in order to get the most victory points. This is one of those leader and follower type games. At the start of each round, one player will be choosing from a selection of 4 different rows, and each row has a number of icons in it. And once they've selected that row, there will also be a piece that will move to the right of it and activate an event. And then that row is going to determine what types of actions all players are able to take that round. So the start player each round is going to be deciding what players are allowed to interact with, which departments can be activated. So it could be human resources or research and development or management or construction. And depending on which one it is, they'll have different aspects that will help your business in different ways. And you're also going to need to have employees activated in those positions. So some of them will be more advantageous for you than others, depending on what you've done and at what time. So it's one of those games where you have to be mindful of what your opponents are doing and make sure that whatever you're choosing is going to help you and hopefully not help them too much either. But whereas I feel like a lot of those are relatively straightforward, it's like, well, I'm going to choose an action and everyone else gets to do that action. This has more pieces going on than that because in addition to the actions they can take, it also has that event, which might be something different. And it's also moving the game along because the way that the game ends is once all these pieces have moved all the way to the right on this little board of actions that everyone can see. So how you want to move that, where you want to move that is going to come into play. There's a board showing a map of the United States where you may have different departments and things giving you different money depending on what comes up and what's activated. So there's all these kinds of dominoes falling in different ways that I think is interesting. It's another one that's all about yay capitalism, but I think it's a fun. It seems like there's a complex layer of strategy here, and it's from the designer of games like Black Angel and some others that you've probably heard of. So it's Carnegie. That's my first pick.
I mean, there's a reason we talked about it earlier in a previous video, but it does also sound really interesting. I am a huge fan always of the follower mechanic because, one, it means you're going to be doing stuff even outside of your turn, quote unquote. And it also means you're going to probably get more things to work with and mess around with. Plus, it feels really nice in this situation if you, as you stated, like, okay, I'm going to put an employee in human resources because I know you're going to choose it on your turn. That way I can get decent benefits. So that helps feel
right.
nice.
It's like, do you try to spread yourself around to make sure you benefit from everybody, or do you like focus on one or two that you think everybody likes? Different things going on. You can get Carnegie on Kickstarter right now. The first backing level is $79. That's for the deluxe edition, which I think has some stuff in it that's Kickstarter exclusive, some like nicer components and things. So if you want to get in early, get a fancier look, then you can back Carnegie right now.
Our next game is also about making money, but this time it's about making it through booze. But not making booze, taking it. In Mob Big Apple, you play as gangsters vying over crates of alcohol in order to get the most and prove you are the best gang in New York City. The way it works is there are going to be 6 tracks that will have crates of alcohol, little cubes, of course, in there. And you're going to be sending out your members to these different rows, as well as complete other different actions in order to try to outsmart your opponent. You're going to start off with 20 different little tokens to represent your members. And every time it's your turn, you're going to roll 2 dice. One is black, one is white. Each row will have either a black or white die from a value of 1 to 3. Then you'll decide whether you want to use which die for which row, and the other die will be how many members you add to the car in that row. So for example, if you rode a white 2 with a black 3, you can either put 2 members in the black 3 row or 3 members in the white 2 row. So you can decide how you want to distribute your forces. For once everyone has placed all their people, you're going to have a shootout, and most people there will win. After that, though, there's an action board at the top where you'll place some people. And this is interesting because there are different actions that require a different number of members to trigger. And once they're taken, no one else can take them. So sometimes you'll decide to take something just to make sure your opponent doesn't. These can range from things from having a shootout and shooting people while they're in the car before they get to the crates, or dealing with the district attorney and pretty much making them look into your opponent and maybe take away some goods from them. After everyone has placed everything, there are also going to be some poker chips. That will be some hidden reserve forces that can flip out. And after a certain number of rounds, you're going to see who has the most crates and is the winner. This looked like a really fun 2-player game and interesting resource management. I love the dice system, how you could sort of decide how you distribute them. Of like, oh, I know I want to put more people in that car, but I need to put more there. With all the different actions too, they're not simply just put a guy there for actions. They cost differently, so you have to really weigh whether you really want to use your people to actually fight or you really need to get that district attorney off your back. It looked like a really fun 2-player game.
Yeah, I'm always up for a mob game, always up to steal some booze in a game, of course. And I enjoyed the look of this with the cute. I thought the little crates and everything were cute. Didn't realize it was strictly a 1v1, but that's interesting. I think that's a cool, a unique sort of a take on the genre. Just the 2 rival gangs going at.
I think.
And I too like that thing with the dice you're talking about. I always like when, there's randomness, but then you get to decide what to do with those results. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, I think the best dice builders out there, this is not dice builder, but they pretty much make it so the randomness exists, but not in a way that you're beholden to it. So if you're interested in proving your worth to the mafia leader, check out this game. You can get it now for $30.
Coming at you from Roxley Games, we've got Radlands, a head-to-head card game that comes from a former developer over at Magic the Gathering, little game you might have heard of. This one is sort of a Mad Max style post-apocalypse world where water is a precious resource, and each player is going to have 3 different camps that they choose at the beginning, and each of those camps has different abilities and will also determine your initial hand size. So very important what those camps are. They're going to affect all the other cards that you play, different synergies and such. And your goal is to take out your opponent's camps first. One of the things that they are proud of with this game is its simplicity, its elegance in terms of its design and learning the rules, while still maintaining a good level of depth. And I like what I see in that regard as well. Each turn, your camps will generate 3 water resources, and that's kind of your energy pool, and you can spend that to play new cards, new characters that will protect your camps. They will go in front of them, and you'll be trying to take each other out. And there are no damage counters. There's no health. It's just very, very simple. If you attack a character, you turn the card sideways. And if you attack one that's already sideways, they're removed from the field. And that's all you need to keep track of. That's all you need to worry about. There are also events you can play, and the events move up on a track depending on how long they're going to take to come into effect. So you might play something with the number 3 on it, and the other player will know that event is coming, but they're going to have 3 turns to learn and try to figure out how they're going to react to it and deal with it before it happens. Plus, it's got a really cool art style and everything, very colorful and fun. So yeah, this just looked like a really cool dueling card game that, as they say, is kind of more streamlined, easy to learn, but it seems like there's a lot of potential combos and synergies and things within the cards.
This game looks really fun. I love the idea of the event counter, so it's not so we just play it. There's a fun little bit of dread there, and also how to being able to build up to counter it. The simplicity helps a lot, and I really do appreciate that for a game that's that post-apocalyptic Mad Max style, that I did not see, I don't think, any brown or tan.
Yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus. So Radlands, it's got rad right there in the name. Perhaps multiple meanings, but you can check it out on Kickstarter. You can back it for $40, which gives you the deluxe edition. It comes with all kinds of goodies and a cool magnetic box and some other stuff as well. Take a look.
Our next Kickstarter is an escape room style game titled EXITUS. This is, as I said, escape room style puzzle game where you'll be using not only an app, a book, and several other pieces in a special bag in order to try to solve the mystery. Of course, this has tons of puzzles. You can take a look at some, not really examples, but maybe pages from the book, and it seems to be all intertwined. We're always drawn and attracted to these kind of things. I just thought this one stand out with a lot of weird, interesting puzzles, and I like the fact that it has a lot of moving pieces. It's not simply in a book or in an app. And with the other pieces too, it sounds interesting that there could be things that, I don't know, like the 20-sided die there, maybe you have to actually float in water or something and find out how it's weighted. I think it seems to be really fun. And more importantly, usually when we see games that have a lot of different components like this, it's extremely expensive. But this is definitely on the much more fairer priced end. So if you're into that sort of escape room and puzzle experience, I think this is at least one to check out because it's not going to hurt your wallet nearly as much.
Yeah, it's always cool to me when escape room style games have the physical components that go beyond just some paper or cards or a code wheel or whatnot, and try to bring home more of that traditional in-person escape room experience, which I think isn't always easy to do, and combined with the app and everything. I'm all for that. So yeah, this one looks like they're going for it. They're going for something, and hopefully it all comes together well. And you said it's cheap. How cheap is it, I wonder?
It is $43. So compared to many other ones out there that usually have like a chest full of stuff, I think that's a pretty nice price. And I do also want to point out that if you're more of a fan of books versus apps, you pretty much can get the app in a book form, or if you're a collector. So that's another nice little touch to help people out there who maybe just rather have pieces of paper versus a digital outlook. So if you're interested in entering and then leaving this, you can check out EXITUS right now.
Colossal Games has a new campaign with Reload, a battle royale style game for 2 to 4 players. If you're familiar with something like Fortnite, then you kind of know what to expect with the general idea and genre of this one. It's a sci-fi world in which you're being trained by corporations, and they're testing out all their new military equipment. And the way they do that is broadcast live to viewers everywhere, so everybody can enjoy it. And your goal is to gain the most fame by getting the most kills or just doing the coolest stuff. This one has a couple of mechanics that I think are really interesting. First off, your actions are going to be determined with dice, so certain actions will need certain numbers of dice, and you can allocate them as you wish, but you're not rolling those dice. You just at the start decide, I'm going to make this one a 3 and this one a 4, depending on which action you want. And the reason, the catch to that is that when you are in combat with someone, you are going to be rolling any dice you didn't use, and then also using the dice that you already allocated earlier. And you're going to want higher numbers in combat, but most of the better actions are going to require lower numbers of dice. So you have to decide how risky you want to go trying to do certain actions while still leaving yourself a little bit of room to fight. And as you go, whether you get a kill or find some cool loot or complete some kind of accomplishment, you're going to get a little token piece that looks kind of like an arrow, and you are putting that into an actual bar that you have, like a small vertical dual layer bar. And in order to win, you're trying to fill that up. So you want more and bigger pieces in there, as it's this physical representation of your fame increasing. And I just really love the idea of seeing that. It seems so much more interesting than just victory points or just having tokens or something. It's like you're trying to fill up a meter, much more like a puzzle game or kind of a digital video game style thing. Interesting, novel idea, and in general, you're going around, you're finding weapons, you can build walls or set traps for other players. It's got a lot of buzz from some people that I respect, so I thought this one sounded pretty neat from all the different little nitty gritty things that are in there.
I'm going to be looking forward to win the game with a pacifist run.
I don't know if that's going to work. Maybe it will. To be honest with you,
you just watch me.
I mean, there are, like I said, they're not the only way to get those tokens is by killing. There's ways to like force your opponents to reload, different depending on what the crowd wants at any given time. They have a quote from Jamie Stegmaier on the page, and it is almost Scythe-like. I feel in the way that there's a lot of different things you can do to try to win. Cool stuff, I think. Again, the game is called Reload from Colossal Games, and you can get it for just $29. However, if you want the unlocked stretch goals and things, that's an extra $10, $39 for that edition of the game.
We're going to end up with one that I think is just absolutely adorable, and that's D&Tea. These are actually teas made and designed for all you role players out there for whatever the situation calls for. They have many different blends such as Tavern Brawl or Underdark and Chill or even Palace Elixir. Plenty of teas to fit whatever mood you're going for. I enjoy tea. I think it's a great idea. And also D&T, come on, that's such a great name.
That's clearly the reason they put this together, I guess. I like a tea now and then, so it's kind of fun. It is a fun idea to have tabletop role-playing inspired tea blends. So sure. Maybe we all need to maybe relax a little bit, get a little mellow going on while we're in combat with some orcs or whatever it happens to be.
No, they really need to contact Renegade Games though, because they make the Tea Time Dragon Society games, and they got to do a mashup there. That's the kind of teas we need.
Yeah, all the different tea games.
Every tea game out there. Let's just do it. If you want to buy some of the tea that's already made, you can select one for $15 for 4 ounces, but you can get more for higher pledge levels, which take off, of course, more of a discount depending on how many bags you buy.
Another very big project that we did a preview video for is Human Punishment: The Beginning. You can find that elsewhere on our channel. It's a big old social deduction strategy game in the vein of Battlestar Galactica that you should definitely take a look at if you like cyberpunk or sneaking around and lying to your friends.
Battlestar is one of our favorite stealth and hidden role games. Was it your number one, Jonathan?
It's my favorite game. My favorite game.
So it's nice for games in particular because it's now out of print and hard to find to pick up the pieces and bring back the legacy of more than a simple hidden role game.
Let us know if you're backing that one or perhaps any other games that we mentioned in this episode, what you think about them, what you're looking forward to in the future on Kickstarter, or anything else that's on your mind. You can do it right down below in the comments section, where we're always happy to hear your voices shouted at us in text form.
We love to see those characters.
Yeah, 140 or more or less, whatever you want. Until we see you again later on, my friends, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit.
Catch the latest from Roll for Crit by liking and subscribing, and don't forget to support us on Patreon.
Don't get analysis paralysis. Just click those buttons. Help us out.